What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I'm back with my NFL DFS top fives on FanDuel for week 14. Now be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter. Let me know in the comments who your favorite plays are this week. And finally, shout out to Jock Market for being the presenting sponsor of this video. Use the promo code Awesemo when signing up to get up to $50 on your first deposit. You guys can see the defenses on the screen. We don't talk about those around these parts. So what we are going to talk about are my top 5 tight ends, wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks. Who's it going to be? It's time to find out. Tight end is pretty flat this week. No real true priorities, but Rob Gronkowski is in at number 5, 7K, projected for 11 fantasy points. Tampa, 3.5-point favorites with a 53-point total. Difficult matchup on paper against Buffalo, but you expect a lot of fantasy scoring. Not a huge upside for Gronk. He only goes for over 25 fantasy points about 0.5% of the time, but 10% likelihood to be in the optimal. Rob Gronkowski just scores. In at number 4, we're going to Kyle Pitts. He's 5,900, projected for almost 10 fantasy points. Atlanta taking on Carolina. They're 2.5-point dogs, 41.5-point total. It's the number 14 offense at PFF against the number 19 defense, so a decent spot. 11% chance for Pitts to be in the optimal. Again, we're not talking about anything too crazy here. He's just like a perfectly solid point per dollar play. Back up to the top now for Travis Kelce, 7,500, projected for 12.5 fantasy points. Chiefs are 10-point favorites against the Raiders, 48-point total, so you expect some scoring. The number 10 offense against the number 15 defense. 2.5% chance to go for more than 25. That looks pretty good. You don't need that much, but it still looks good. 12% likelihood to be in the optimal, just 1 percentage point shy of the tie at the top. The first guy in that number 2 spot is on the opposite side of Travis Kelce's sideline. That's Darren Waller, only 6,600, projected for 11.5 fantasy points. The Raiders are 10-point dogs. They're the number 15 offense going up against the number 10 defense. Not great, but you do expect that if this game stays competitive, that it's because there's a lot of scoring. 12.8% chance for Darren Waller to be in the optimal. That ties him for the number 1 spot if we're rounding. Because in at number 1, we've got George Kittle, 7,100, projected for 12 fantasy points. The Niners are 1.5-point favorites against Cincinnati, 49-point total. Great matchup, too. Number 8 offense, number 23 ranked defense. There's a little bit of a ceiling there. He goes for more than 25, 1.5% of the times. But he rounds down to 13, same as Waller. George Kittle, though, is your number 1 contender at tight end. On to the wide receivers we go, and at number 5, we've got Hunter Renfrow. He's 6,700, projected for 12 fantasy points. We've already talked about the Raiders at this point. The matchup is okay-ish. It's just that you expect a lot of scoring. 2% chance for Renfrow to go for more than 25. That's interesting. 13.5% chance, so we'll round that up to 14% likelihood to be in the optimal lineup. As you can see for wide receiver, it's a lot like tight end. Very flat. The difference between 1 and 10 is not all that huge. Difficult week on FanDuel. At number 4, you can go to DK Metcalf at 7,300, projected for 13.5 fantasy points. Matchups don't get much better than this. 8.5-point favorites against Houston. A 40.5-point total is not ideal, but this is the number 29 ranked defense, so I don't get the sense that Metcalf is all that scared. Real ceiling here, 4% chance to go for more than 25, which would be great at 7,300. 15% chance to be in the optimal. As you can see, we're just taking very slow steps up, but we do have a tie for that number 2 spot. And that tie starts with Chris Godwin, 7,700, projected for 14 fantasy points. Tampa Bay, 3.5-point favorites, 53.5-point total in a very difficult matchup, but a matchup that's loaded with scoring. 6% likelihood of going for more than 25. That is a very real number. You don't need it. You probably only need like 20 out of Godwin. 16% chance, though, to be in the optimal lineup. That certainly works, but again, it looks good, but the difference between, say, Chris Godwin and T. Higgins is not that big at all. If you're looking for ceiling, $8,700 Tyreek Hill is right here for you. Projected for 16. We know how big of a line this game is for Kansas City. 15% chance to go for more than 25. 16% chance to be in the optimal lineup. So you know what you need from Tyreek Hill in order to be in an optimal. It's not all that crazy. Dude can hang big-time numbers. There are 200-yard, 3-touchdown type performances in Tyreek Hill. Today seems like a perfect day to try to roster him. Well, by today I mean Sunday, but you guys get it. But the number 1 contender for this week is Stephon Diggs, 8,200, projected for 15.5. You're expecting Buffalo to have to try to throw. They're the number 9 offense against the number 7 defense. There's a ceiling here for Diggs. 12% of the time he's going for more than 25. You don't need that much. 20% likelihood for Stephon Diggs to be in the optimal lineup. Don't overthink it. I know the matchup is tough, but this game is highly stackable. In at number 5 for the running backs is Eli Mitchell, maybe, if he plays. 7,400. I got him projected for 15.1 fantasy points right now. This is the number 8 offense against the number 23 defense. So if Mitchell can get out there, that's going to be a good thing. 9% likelihood to go for more than 25, which is a ceiling. 18% chance to be in the optimal. I don't know if we're going to see him, but assuming we do, I think he looks really good this week against the Bengals. We're off to Denver for number 4. That would be Javonte Williams, projected for 14 fantasy points at just 6,700. Denver's got a cupcake matchup against the Lions. 10-point favorites, 42-point total. Denver's not a great offense. They're ranked 22nd, but the Lions aren't a very good defense. They are ranked 31st. 5% chance for Williams to go for more than 25, which means he's doing that like 1 out of every 20 times. That's a real number. 18.5% chance to be in the optimal lineup leaves him just shy of the 22% or higher club. The first guy in that club is Josh Jacobs. He's 7,100, projected for 15 fantasy points. We've talked about the Raiders enough at this point with Waller and with Renfro, so we know the matchup. 10% of the time, Jacobs is going for more than 25. 22% of the time, he's in the optimal lineup. He is the first of 3, I don't want to say like key running backs because 22% is not all that likelihood, but we do definitely have 3 guys separating from the pack. You're going to have to pay a lot for it, but I think it's worth it. Number 2 is Austin Eckler, 9,200, projected for almost 20 fantasy points. Great matchup for the Chargers. Great matchup for Austin Eckler, just given who is out for the Chargers. 43-point total isn't the best, but you think that Eckler is going to be involved from start to finish. 29% of the time, he's scoring more than 25 fantasy points. You don't even need it. You do need it. 23% likelihood to be in the optimal lineup. So you're probably looking for like 26 or 27 to feel good because 9,200 ain't cheap. But that's okay. He's still number 2. Well worth that $9,200 price tag this week. Finally, we close it out with Leonard Fournette at 7,600, projected for about 17 fantasy points. We've talked about this Tampa matchup already. They are slight favorites against Buffalo. Very difficult matchup on paper, but a lot of scoring expected. 15% chance for Fournette to be over 25. 24% likelihood to be in the optimal lineup. Leonard Fournette is at the tip of the running back spear. Now, before we close it out with the quarterbacks, one last reminder, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Go to Twitter, follow me at Josh Engleman. Go to the comment section of this video, let me know who your favorite plays are, and then go sign up at Jock Market using the promo code Awesemo. Closing out the quarterbacks, which is really uninteresting. Tom Brady's in at number 5, 8,200, projected for 21. 16% of the time he's going for more than 25. 8% chance to be in the optimal lineup. What you're looking for here is this. Tampa Bay, Buffalo, that game is very highly stackable, and that means I'm happy to get to Brady because there's enough value out there to be able to do so. Speaking of games we've talked about a lot, Pat Mahomes in at number 4, 8,500, projected for 22. He should just absolutely smack the Raiders around. 25% chance to go for 25 or more, but only an 8% chance to be in the optimal lineup because there's just a lot of value at quarterback, and paying up for Pat Mahomes is kind of scary. However, certainly easy to do. There are a ton of options for the Raiders and Chiefs, so that game stacking this one up, also very easy. Now we're getting into the trio at the top. Josh Allen is in 13% of the time, 8,800, projected for 23.5. Just looks like a slightly better option than Brady this week. More weapons, more of a floor, just given his running ability. 37% chance to go for more than 25. You expect him to have to keep up a little bit more too, since they're slight underdogs, but a 13% likelihood to be in the optimal isn't all that crazy. He's just part of the big 3 at quarterback this week. The number 2 spot gets you to Lamar Jackson, another very difficult matchup. 7,900 for Lamar, projected for 21.5, but they're 2.5-point dogs against Cleveland. 42-point totals, not great. This isn't a very good offense, although Lamar does it all, and it's a very good defense for Cleveland, number 2 at PFF. But still, it's Lamar Jackson. 22% of the time he goes for more than 25. 14% of the time he's going to be in the optimal lineup. That was almost enough to get it done, but not quite there. That number 1 guy is $7,700 Taysom Hill, projected for 21 fantasy points. Cupcake matchup here against the Jets. They're 5.5-point favorites. They're a bad offense, but Taysom Hill's just going to be able to do a lot. He threw a lot last week. He's going to be able to run, and this is the number 28 defense, so you're not scared at all. 19.5% of the time, he's going for more than 25. 15% in the optimal lineup. Taysom Hill is your number one contender at quarterback. Alrighty, folks, that will do it. Those are my NFL DFS top 5s on FanDuel for week 14. DraftKings version of this video is around here somewhere. Check it out. Good luck this weekend. Win a bit of money. We'll talk to you again, I don't know, Sunday morning for another edition of The Contenders.